Okay.
Let me give. I'll tell you what. I'll call him right now, and I'll tell him let him know that because he may not pick up. If you call him, he may not. I'm sure he will pick up it. I've already let him know. Yeah, Larry's a great guy. He'll be terrific. Okay, Larry Krueger. Oh, okay. Hmm. There he is, Larry. Brucey, how you doing, man? Good, good. Hey, thanks so much for doing this spur of the moment. I'll talk to you later about what's been going on. It's been like five or six things at one time. But you know that you got four kids, right? So you got four things going on simultaneously. So anyway, yeah, good deal. Well, we'll call you right back. And Edward Brown's the guy I work with, and you remember we did this before, so. We'll have you on and have. I really appreciate you coming on. We'll talk. I enjoyed listening to your show this morning, by the way, with you. That was good stuff. Okay. I'll call you right back. Gotcha. Bye bye.
Right?
Yeah. He's ready.
So we got to do our 2-minute little.
Yeah, gotcha.
Larry, it's Edward and Bruce. How are you? Hey, how are you? Good. Thanks for joining us. I know Bruce is on kind of a tight time schedule here, so I'm going to get us started. We do this, if you remember last time, we do a quick little 2-minute introduction and save the file, and then we'll introduce you again. All right, here we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. Now, we're going to have a guest on who we've had on before. Who's our guest today?
Yeah, it's a guy I used to work with and a very fine sports talk host from the all sports radio station in San Francisco, KNBR. That's Larry Krueger. And Larry is a big football guy, and we're going to get into it with Larry about the Raiders' move to Las Vegas, which is a huge story nationally and locally.
You know, you always hear about these things potentially happening.
Yeah.
This one really looks like it is going to happen.
Oh, it's going to happen, yeah.
What was the voting, like 31 to 1?
31 to 1, yeah.
Not
We'll
bad.
get into it with Larry. It'll be interesting because he's got some very strong opinions about it. I was listening to his show earlier today on the local station, and yeah, it's interesting. It's a fascinating story.
It will be interesting to talk to Larry about that because, you know, right now we have the 49ers here, and,
Yeah.
you know, Larry's in the Bay Area covering that.
Working on the pre- and post-game shows with the 49ers
Yeah,
as well.
is
So,
he
yeah.
still gonna,
As I
is
said.
Vegas going to still be close enough?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think so
Okay.
either.
At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. Today's theme, again, is random sports trivia. This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are still currently yielding over 7.5% with less than 60% loan to value. You got to check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. We're also, one of the things I do want to ask Larry too is looking in the Sports Illustrated about teams that spend a lot of money, but they're just not getting the record that they should be getting, and vice versa. So I'd like to get Larry's opinion on that.
Sounds good.
All right, and when we come back, we are going to have Larry Krueger from KNBR on the show. We have about 15 seconds. Anything else you want to say, Bruce?
No, just that it's whenever a team leaves an area, it leaves a huge void. And the weirdest part is, as Larry will discuss with us, the Raiders are going to probably be here for another year or two. It's kind of like, as he was putting it, kind of like your wife is leaving you for another guy. But by the way, she wants to sleep on the couch for a couple of years, and then she'll move out.
And then I guess the Oakland A's will just stay where they're at, right?
There's no place for them to go, but we can get into that later.
All right,
Yeah.
you're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
All right.
All right, thanks, Larry. Just going to save this file, and then we'll get right into it.
Good deal. You on your way home?
Yeah.
All right. Good deal. How old are your kids now, Larry? They got to be two in high school now?
17, 15, and or, 16, 15, and 12.
And the last one is 7?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that'll,
Wow. And how many boys and how many girls?
The oldest is a girl, and the rest.
That's right. That's right. So the girl keeps the 3 boys in line. Yeah.
And you probably don't have any gray hair at all, huh?
I have.
Well, your wife is a champ. That's for sure.
Listen, we had 2 kids, and we felt like we were outnumbered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Edward's got 2. One in college, just out of college, and one
Yeah.
who's in college.
Sophomore,
yeah.
In fact, we're going to be flying to New Orleans to
Nice.
check out Tulane.
Tulane.
Because she's thinking about transferring.
Oh.
And then 2 days later, flying to University of Texas at Austin.
Whoa.
Just looking at both schools,
Oh,
then
wow.
running home.
That
So
sounds like a.
Okay, I scouted football players across the country. I would say those are 2 of the biggest party schools I've ever
oh no. No wonder my daughter wants to go there. Excellent.
party.
Yeah.
There we go. Edward is going to have some good stories to tell.
Yeah, really.
Lock her up. Lock her up.
Yeah. She's
And
gonna
I'm not talking about Hillary. We're talking about Edward's daughter. Lock her up.
She's going to be a junior, so they don't
Yeah.
party when they're juniors, right? Only when
That's
they're
right.
freshmen?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Famous last words.
Yeah, right. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, who's on our phone?
A good friend of mine, Larry Krueger, who was a longtime sports talk radio host here in the Bay Area, worked with KNBR for many, many years. We worked together for about 7 or 8 years and had a great time working with Larry. And Larry's a huge football guy. And this story, Larry, of the Raiders moving to Las Vegas, I mean, we could see this coming. And you made the point, I thought, a very good one on the show today, that Mark Davis made this move because it's the best move for him. Not the best move for the Raiders necessarily, for the city of Oakland, but the best move for Mark Davis. Explain that a little bit more in detail.
Mark Davis is not a wealthy man. I mean, he might be compared to Joe on the street. Mark Davis, I mean, Al Davis was not a wealthy man. Al Davis, well, came from owning the Oakland Raiders. And Mark Davis, well, from owning the Oakland Raiders. He doesn't have pockets compared to other NFL owners. And so he really had no interest in selling the team. And he has no interest in selling a stake of or a portion of it. He himself doesn't own the whole thing. He only owns a portion of it. So he needed a deal where he could remain the owner and he could remain in control of it. But the only way he was going to compete for a Super Bowl is if he had a new stadium, and he couldn't get it done in Oakland. So he basically found, a state in the state of Nevada that was willing to cut him $1 billion check, and so now he has everything that he wants. But leaving the nation's 6th largest market for the nation's 45th largest market is not a good deal. It's not a good deal for the league. It's not a good deal for the Raiders. It's not a good deal for the Raiders fans. It's not a good deal for the city of Oakland.
Good. Larry, go back for
anybody except the market.
Larry, go back for just a minute. You said that getting a Super Bowl, but not getting it in Oakland. You're not talking about the Coliseum, right? You're talking about being able to get the money to get better players, or what was your point on that?
The point is that the Raiders got a big sum of money and squandered it on a bunch of free agents and have no money. They're cash flow organization. The reason they're so hell bent to leave was that they upped his rent. I mean, they upped his rent from $900,000 to like $3.5 million. That's nothing. That's a very small rent.
Yeah.
Compared, but he doesn't have it. So he either has to sell the team, he doesn't want to do, or he has to somehow find an investor. He doesn't want to have an investor. So what does he have left?
Except the funny thing is the Raiders with that logo and everything are like they're international. There's lots of paraphernalia out there with the Raiders logo. Doesn't that bring a decent amount of income in?
They think they're an international brand. And there is some truth in that. They are a little bit of an international brand. But the reality is that their popularity is all based on Northern California. And they don't have, there was nothing that could be done that would enable him to control the franchise and in Northern California and transition from the old Coliseum to a new facility. There was no option. So he had to go to Vegas. He had to go somewhere where somebody was going to underwrite the project. That's what he got.
Okay.
But it's not the best interest of the NFL.
Yeah.
It's not the best interest of the Raiders fans, and it's not in the best interest of the franchise itself.
I'm going to play devil's advocate.
The franchise itself is not going to grow in value at the rate that it would if it remained here in Northern California. It's going to boost Las Vegas.
No, but I could definitely see, the casinos buying out, all the luxury box seats and giving it to the big players. So there's going to be a huge. I could definitely see a fan base there.
Want to know, is it going to be a local fan base though?
Doesn't mean it's going to look good long term.
Yeah.
I mean, in the short term, it's a good situation because these guys now just have tax dollars. But long term, it's a good situation. And I would argue that.
What about the league, Larry? The league voted 31-1 in favor. This is the only guy who voted against it was the Miami owner, and I guess he had his own selfish reasons. I mean, it seems to me that the NFL has been angling, and I know Jerry Jones has had a big part of this. The owner of the Cowboys had a big role in convincing Roger Goodell that Las Vegas is a great place for a Super Bowl. Las Vegas is America's favorite vacation spot. And Las Vegas will bring in all those Southern California Raider fans, some from Northern California, some from Arizona, and some people from all over the country who just want to come in and party. And it's just going to add to the prestige of the league. And I'm taking the other point of view. I'm not believing in what he's saying, but can you understand why Goodell made that choice?
No, I don't. This is no different, Bruce, than Clay Bennett, his handshake deal with David Stern that moved the team from the Seattle market to Oklahoma City. That wasn't as ridiculous as this, but it's the same kind of thing. You're leaving a bigger, thriving market because of a cash-friendly deal that has to do with a relationship and funneling cash to a particular owner.
Wow.
This was the NFL owners. They signed off on this. They felt like they owed Mark one, and the relocation fees of the Chargers, Rams, and Raiders will total $50 million per franchise. So they're getting a $50 million check to vote the way they voted.
That's interesting.
Wow.
So Mark Davis is paying the league $50 million for the relocation fee, and yet he's going to get his own. He loves Las Vegas. I know Mark Davis because I traveled with the Raiders and did a lot of work on their programs when we used to carry the games back in the 90s, and he really loves Las Vegas. I think it's one of his favorite places. He always talks about eating at P.F. Chang's down there, and it's kind of like maybe that's his favorite place to hang out. I don't know.
Could be.
Well, it is now.
I mean, one thing about people say, "Oh, you shouldn't go to Vegas because of the gambling." It's like I don't really think that's the issue because Vegas does the gambling anyway for teams that have nothing to do with Vegas, right?
I mean, he's going there because he has parameters that needs to be met. He wants you to own the team. He wants to have a new stadium. Well, there is no. The only people that were going to put up money for a stadium were people that wanted a portion of the team. So he didn't even entertain any of the local angles in recent years because he had his mind. He knew the financial situation of the Vegas deal. That once they committed to $750 million, that was going to be a easy sell to the NFL owners, and that was going to be the one that was best individually for Mark. But I'm tired of hearing Mark say that he cares about the Bay Area. He doesn't, or that he even cares about the Raiders. He doesn't. What's the best long-term interest of the Raiders is to be in Northern California. That's where their fan base is, much larger market. There's far more wealth here. The reason he's in Vegas is because this was the best deal for him. And that's why I would advise Raider fans to do what's in your best interest. If your best interest is that you're going to get joy out of supporting a lame duck team for the next 3 years and leaving for Las Vegas, then God bless you. Go for it. But if your best interest is to feel like it's your best interest to part ways from the Raiders, I'm not going to sit there and say that you're not loyal. Mark's doing what's best for him. Fans should do what's best for him.
I want to ask you we'll ask you after the break, Larry, because you just got off the phone. You and Gary Radnich, a long-time television host that is your co-host on KNBR, just got off the phone with a lot of Raider fans and got some rather pointed reaction from them. And I'd like to hear what the result of that was.
We're going to cut to a break because I want to not only get into what you just said, Bruce, but also this article from Sports Illustrated that talked about the 3 teams that spent the most money and then ones that didn't. Kind of get Larry's opinion.
Okay.
All right, so here's our first trivia question. Again, Larry, if you know the answer, don't answer it until we get back from break, all right?
Wait, if I know.
Okay, well.
See, I love that confidence. Larry's a cocky guy, and that's why he's lasted so long.
Well, I tell you, 2 out of 3 of these questions I think are kind of
Okay,
hard.
all right.
Remember, it's totally random trivia.
Okay. If it's old historical stuff from pre-1960, I know it. If it's more recent, Larry knows
Well,
it.
okay.
So we got it covered.
Okay, let's see. Okay, when was the first instance of global electronic communications? What sport?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
What was the situation? You
Okay.
gotta give me the year. And all
Okay.
that. Well, you don't have to give me the year, but
Yeah.
get as close as
Okay.
you can.
Yeah.
All right. So email Edward at sportsecon101.com the answer to that question. When was the first instance of global electronic communication?
That means any place in the world, not just
Yeah.
the United States?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, global. That's the word global.
Right, right. I just wanted to make sure.
Listen, 6 years of high school do me good too. All right, don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. All right.
All right.
All right. Let me just save this file.
What a beautiful
Good
day
stuff.
today, huh, Larry?
Wow. I was sweating on the
Can you believe
motorcycle.
this weather? Jeez.
So I get my tires changed on the motorcycle in Berkeley because
Right.
it's hard to find a scooter place that can do that, right? Specialized.
So
And
wait, the answer on this one, is it the Colts Giants football game?
You can guess that if you
You
want.
can guess that. I think it's a radio broadcast going way, way back.
1963.
No, actually, I think the first televised NFL
Well,
game
not-
might have
not
been
televised.
that was the
That's
most famous
televised.
game, but that was also there were games that were shown on TV prior to that. That was the
That's
one.
the title game.
Yeah, that was the title game. I remember, you know what's funny, Larry? That's the first memory of an NFL game I ever have. Is my dad and I. My dad was from New York, and he was very interested, and we watched. I was 6 years old at the time.
Okay, so if it wasn't that season, then I would guess Jack Johnson.
Some Braddock fight. Okay, yeah, okay.
Jack Johnson played back in the
Yeah,
turn
yeah.
of the century.
Okay, all right.
In
Yeah.
fact, my first baseball game I remember when Rick Monday and when the A's just had come from Kansas
Right.
City. So,
1968.
Getting a home run.
There you go.
okay, ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Here was our first trivia question. When was the first instance of global electronic communications? What sport?
Well, Larry had a shot. Go ahead, you take your shot first, Larry, and I'm going to try it in a second here because
Probably boxing. That'd be my guess.
Boxing.
Or would be boxing.
Okay.
That'd be a guess. Baseball.
I'm going to say, yeah, I agree with Larry. I think either a boxing match or a baseball game in the 1920s, and I'm going to say a Yankees game like 1923.
No. You guys are 50 years too much into the future. 1871.
What?
That when the news of the Derby, Kentucky Derby winner was telegraphed from London to Calcutta in under 5 minutes.
Wow.
Can
Oh,
you
that's
imagine?
a good answer. I never would have gotten that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I forget the Kentucky.
You know what? Hey, we were on it. The first, if you want to go to the first half of last century, the 3 biggest sports in America are none: boxing, baseball, and horse racing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we get boxing and baseball and horse racing.
Yeah, there you
Very
go.
good.
Very
Not
good.
bad.
Yeah, that's true. It's so sad what horse racing is still popular in certain circles and boxing too, but boy, not nearly as much.
Yeah.
But before we get back into
Bruce,
yeah. Sure.
You guys, you can next time. Know where the term upset was coined?
No.
There was a horse in 1919 called Upset that beat Man of War,
Really?
and thus the whole term upset was created.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. I always thought the word in itself, meant that you're pulling off a surprise. Well, we were talking with Larry Krueger, who is our guest, and we still are obviously talking with Larry from local station KNBR, the all sports station in San Francisco, where we used to work together back in the day. And we were talking about the Raiders. And Larry, you and Gary Radnich, your co-host, had a bunch of fans calling in on your show today to weigh in on whether or not they're going to go out and support this lame duck team that is supposedly going to play here possibly as long as 3 years before they move to Las Vegas. What was the general consensus of opinion from some of the passionate Raider fans who were checking in?
It's hard to really say there was a consensus, but I guess if I had to term a consensus, it would be that more people that they're going to continue watching.
Really?
Continue supporting.
Wow.
Which surprised me.
Yeah.
I guess it's their last chance.
Well, I'll say it surprises me too because I go back and I'm a bit older. When I was starting in television in the late 70s, I used to come down and cover the Raiders when John Madden was coaching. And then you'll remember, if you remember your history, in the late 70s, Al Davis was trying to move the Raiders to L.A. He was pushing hard, and he didn't actually get the permission until '82,
82.
when the courts actually upheld his right to move against the wishes of Pete Rozelle in the NFL. And I remember the year they won the Super Bowl, it was a big surprise. They won as the first wild card in 1980. They did not sell out a number of their games because he hadn't moved yet and he hadn't gotten permission to move. But there was a very strong possibility, and fans were furious. And this was a team that had incredible success in the 1970s. It's a much different, situation today because of late, until last year, they were a terrible team for about 13 years. But Larry, it speaks to the strength of the fan base. They have stuck with this team through some really lean years, and not making the playoffs for a better part of.
But I remember when they went to LA. I was upset when they came back. I wasn't interested.
A lot of people weren't. And remember, the 49ers. The 49ers had a great run of 4 Super Bowls. 4 of their 5 Super Bowls were won when the Raiders were in LA. But Larry, it sounds to me like the Raider fans are just, especially the ones here in the Bay Area, are getting the royal screw job. Yep. I guess people, they want to be entertained, so it's a good team. Let's go out and watch them play.
Well, especially since the 49ers are not doing well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be going out there. I'll be doing my little freelance work. Are you still, you're covering sports, so this is your job, but are you still going to keep up with this team even though they're a lame duck team? I mean, you follow the NFL so fervently.
I mean, I'm going to keep up with all with Al's job. That's not really the barometer. I think that, I think when you look at it, pro sports very expensive. And so, if you're telling me that the Raiders are going to build a brand new facility in Vegas, and I can only really afford to go there once or twice a year because I'm going to involve a flight, maybe a hotel, and that kind of thing.
Oops, I think we lost him there for a second. No, you're still there. Okay.
I had a guy off for water the other day for $750 a pop.
$750?
Yeah, that's how much they're going for.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Mark Davis, actually, I don't think he made the announcement, but it's been common knowledge that a number of the tickets for next year are actually going up by as much as 50% because of the Raiders' great success?
No, bigger than that. They're raising ticket prices on something to 92%.
Wow.
The average is going to be 40% increase next year.
Wow. Well, it's interesting, too, because the whole reason the Raiders moved back to Oakland was because they built this extra section to accommodate all these extra fans, which brought the stadium capacity up to nearly 70,000. When the team sucked, and I use that term, I hate to throw that word out there, but they did. They sucked for the better part of 13 years. They weren't getting crowds of over 50,000. So they tarped off the area known as Mount Davis to make it a smaller stadium. And ironically now, the stadium, they could open up the upper stands. They could open up and fill those seats, but they won't do it because they know that if they have fewer seats, there's going to be more demand. More demand means higher price. Look what the Giants have done when they moved from Candlestick into Pac-Bell Park. They went from a 60,000 seat stadium to a 40,000 seat stadium. You create that demand, you can charge more money.
And it makes up for the fact that you have 20,000 less tickets to sell.
Exactly.
What about the A's though? They're just
that's a whole different story. And again,
but I mean, they're not drawing enough.
No. Well, they're drawing enough because they're not.
No, I mean for to open up the.
For Mount Davis also, yeah, they don't open that up.
By the way, you referenced Mount Davis. Mount Davis was constructed in the mid-90s when the Raiders came back. There's a $20 billion tax bill on Mount Davis that is still in effect until the year 2025. So now, not only will the Raiders fans be losing the team right as they're getting good, but they still will be paying off Mount Davis for the next 5 or 6 years.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder what some of the players from some of the players from the 70s, 80s.
I think they're used to it, Larry. Don't you think whatever brings up a good point? I think players go where the money is, where the teams are. I mean, I know that the guys would probably love to stay in the East Bay, but they're used to that sort of thing. So
Well, I mean, if you really ask the players, how many Raider players currently live here in the Bay Area year round? I bet you there'll be more players willing to live near their facility in Vegas
cheaper
than here in Econ.
Yeah.
But these guys make pretty good money though. I mean, I know Bay Area's expensive, but
Now when you factor in the average career is 3 years,
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's a good
You
point.
know, and these are the lowest paid major pro sports athletes in our country. If you look at what the average career is, what the earnings are.
No question. Because and of course, hockey, basketball, and football or baseball players make a lot more. There are more games, and football. There's a lot more players to pay, and there are a lot more guys you can just run through the line and find new players when a guy goes down with an injury.
Well, one of the things I wanted to bring up was a Sports Illustrated article that appeared March 20th, and it talked about free agency is not the game changer in the NFL that it can be in the NBA or Major League Baseball. From 2014 to 2016, the three teams that spent the most money, the Jaguars, the Raiders, and the Giants, doled out an average of $429 million, yet averaged a combined 18 wins, 30 losses over the 3 years. Meanwhile, the three teams that spent the least, the Packers, Panthers, and Steelers, paid out an average of $69 million and averaged combined 30 wins and 18 losses. So I thought Mark Davis didn't spend that much money, relatively speaking, but I guess he did, didn't he, Larry?
Well, first of all, the league has maximums. The league has salary cap floors, so they have minimums you have to spend. When you're looking at those numbers, what it really reflects is that you have to draft your way to a Super Bowl. You don't sign your way to a Super Bowl. You have to draft your way to a Super Bowl. Teams that spend a lot of money on free agents typically have done so because they've failed to draft consistently well. The teams that spend the least in free agency draft exceptionally well, just augment that by what they spend in free agency.
And that's what's a little different.
That's the way to look at it, I think, more than anything.
Well, it's interesting because in baseball, yeah, Larry, in baseball, I mean, you've got your single A, double A, and triple A. In football, you just come out of college, so I guess there's kind of a difference there where you can, just the way the draft system, free agency, coming out of college, coming out of high school. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, I mean, to look at every sport, I mean, you can look. Nobody's ever really signed their way to championships in any sport. And I can't think of one. Maybe one team 1 year, but the trend is that the Warriors did good. So they drafted Steph Curry, and drafted Draymond Green, and drafted Klay Thompson, and drafted Harrison Barnes, and that's how they built their core. And Giants become a 3-time World Series champion, signing free agents. They had to draft themselves, Panic, Crawford, Posey, and all that eventually Baumgartner, Valencia came, that eventually became their core of a 3-time World Series.
which is a little different than the Yankees, who used to always buy their players. Remember that?
Even the Yankees spent a lot in free agency, but the Yankees' core dynasty in the modern era was
Derek Jeter, yeah.
By the Yankees.
Yep.
Jorge Posada, Andy Pettit. These guys were drafted. Bernie Williams. These were Yankee farmhands. The Yankees are going to get good again here in the next few years. It's going to be on the strength of draft, trade, prospects.
Hey, Larry, stay with us. Got to go to a quick break here. Here's the question. What sport was banned in England in 1457 because it was considered a serious distraction from the serious pursuit of archery? Don't touch
1457.
that. Don't touch sticks and stones. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
Jeez.
Thanks, Larry. Sorry. It's hard because I'm looking at the clock and I have to cut off when,
That's right.
you know how it is. Heartbreak.
Appreciate you doing this.
What's the deal on that? What's the deal on that?
What sport was banished in
1457.
1457 because what now?
Because it was considered a serious distraction from the serious pursuit of archery.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Good. I'm
What
drawing
year
a blank.
again?
1457. That's five.
It was the putting Joan of Arc on the
550. That's only 550
Yeah.
years ago. Come on. 560. Probably 560
560
years ago. Geez, that's just a blink of in the geological time. That's just a blink of an eye.
So we're talking about the mid 1400s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my era. You got
Yeah.
a party like it's 1457.
They didn't even have guns, right?
I tell you, Marin County would have been a nice
actually.
place to live back in those days. The
Yeah.
Olonies were not going to be bothered by anybody for another couple hundred years.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, they did. Yeah, 13 something they invented
The blunderbuss, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that actually was more than 1600.
16, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I
ready?
didn't know that.
Here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. So we have a trivia question here that goes back to when Bruce was a little boy. What sport was banned in England in 1457 because it was considered
Where do you come up with these questions? Jeez. Larry,
I'm
you
sorry.
want to take a stab at this? I have no idea.
Okay, so let me ask.
Okay.
Let me seriously ask the question.
Okay.
What sport was banned in England in 1457 because it was considered a serious distraction from the serious pursuit of archery?
Okay. Larry, you want to take a stab at that? I have no clue. I'm clueless.
I would say running.
Right? No, it's funny because I was thinking, okay, it could have been bowling because bowling has actually been around since the Egyptian times.
Wow.
But actually, golf.
Golf has been around that long.
Golf has been around, yeah. The St.
Wow.
Think
Wow.
Scotland and all that's been
I
around
think it was
since
played
1400s.
probably a lot differently though in those days,
Yeah.
with a lot different kind of equipment.
Oh.
Now, I was going to say clueless, or I'm clueless. My wife always tells me that anyway. So.
Yeah.
We got Larry Krueger on the phone. And Larry, I got to ask you about Mark Davis one more time as we go back to the Raiders situation. You look at this, what's going on in the NFL today with all these all this franchise movement. Not only the Raiders, but the Rams have now moved twice. They moved to St. Louis. They moved back to LA. The Chargers have moved to LA. The Cardinals moved from St. Louis to Phoenix. The Houston Oilers moved to Tennessee. I mean, there's Baltimore, moved to Cleveland, and then Cleveland has got a new team. I mean, this is supposed to be the most successful pro league in America. Why are we seeing all these franchise shifts? What's the deal?
Well, it's really pretty simple. You're never rather see. These teams need the new stadium to have the revenue. It's a portion of the pie that they don't share. So if you're going to get an edge on your neighbor, you have to get it through your stadium. So you need a new stadium. But why don't the owners just sell it? Because the revenue pie in the NFL is growing at a rate in America that you can make large money faster. There's no industry that's revenue pie has jumped from 7 billion to 4 billion.
Wait, so it went from 7 billion to 40 billion?
Did you say 40 billion, Larry? 14. Well, that's still
pretty good.
substantial. That's doubling your in the last several years it's been? Last 10 years? I think we've
Larry, are you still there?
I think his cell phone finally died. He may hear us, but we can't hear him. But that's okay. Larry, if you're there, thank you very much. We appreciate you being on. You're cutting in and out, my friend. It's okay. Don't worry about it. These things happen. Modern technology is not flawless.
That's true.
So we appreciate you being on.
Yeah, listen, you were on for a good 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it.
Appreciate it very
Thanks
much.
again, Larry.
Thanks very much. Okay, that happens. That happens once in a while. The
Happens a
cell
lot.
phone. I was on a call the other day with a friend of mine from out of town, and we were having a great conversation. All of a sudden, I looked at my screen, and it said 2%, and boom, it just died. I hadn't talked to this guy in 10 years, I'm going, oh, man. We were catching up on old times, and, well, we had 10 minutes talking together. So
Well, I did want to hear how long it took to go from 7 billion to 14 billion.
That's a good question. I mean, because we are a sports show that allegedly we talk business, and
That's
you
right.
know you're a business expert. I'm not, but I try to be up to date on
I'll
this
tell you
stuff.
one thing. If it took 10 years,
Yeah.
then it was a compounded rate of return of only 7.2%.
Okay. Well, yeah. All I know is that the NFL is the most popular team sport, and the reason is it's the most popular television sport, which generates a lot. I'm not sure what percentage of the revenue that football gets comes from the television contracts, but I dare say it's a good 50%. And this is one of the reasons why they have games on Thursday night, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's not good for the players.
Well, they didn't used to have Sunday night, but
No.
they came out with the Sunday night.
Sunday night,
Even Saturday every once in a while.
Saturday had Sunday night once in a while, but Sunday night's not so bad.
Yeah.
Monday night, even that's not so bad, but Thursday night is ridiculous because if you play the previous Sunday, it takes your body about a week to heal up and work out and then get ready for the next game because these games just they take a physical you take a beating.
I asked some of the band members from the Moody Blues, and they said they'd rather have Tuesday afternoon. So we'll soon we will have Tuesday afternoon.
But is this thing on? Jesus.
We'll have Tuesday afternoon football.
Maurice.
Yeah, and then you got to kind of shuffle them all around.
Well, look at college football. The Pac-12 network out here on the West Coast, which a lot of our listeners, most of our listeners, I think, are probably east of the Rocky Mountains, but they don't realize, because they probably don't see it too often, most of the Pac-12, the big matchups, are now played at night to get, quote, primetime audiences. And they signed this huge contract in college football, the Pac-12, with the Pac-12 television network. And they have, if you're a Stanford fan or a Cal fan or a UCLA fan or an Arizona fan, you're going to games sometimes at 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday night. And that just isn't, you're getting out of the stadium at 1 in the morning. And if you're an alumni, you want to have a barbecue in the afternoon. You want to have the enjoyment of the beautiful sunny afternoon. That's not going to happen. Maybe in the desert it's okay down in Tucson, but maybe, if you're living here in California or you're up in the Northwest, up in Seattle or Oregon, you don't want to be playing at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, good point.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's all about money.
That's it. Well, I was thinking when, we were talking about, you asked questions about like various teams moving all over the place.
Sure.
I'm thinking, okay, so Oklahoma, big football.
Sure.
But I guess they can't really share the stadium with the college, can they?
What's that? You're talking about a pro football?
Yeah.
There have not been very many teams that have played in college stadiums. It did happen. It has happened. I remember the Raiders actually played at the University of California, Berkeley, when the A's were playing in the postseason. And I know back in the 60s, most baseball and football teams that played in the same towns shared the same. Yankee Stadium was used for football and baseball. Baltimore's Memorial Stadium was used by the Orioles and the Colts.
Polo Grounds.
Polo Grounds, Fenway Park in Boston. They were then called the Boston Patriots. Played at Fenway Park for off and on for a number of years. So, this is a different era, and these teams are making huge sums of money. They want their own stadium, and again, this goes back to Mark Davis. I think he wanted to have his own stadium. I think he always felt disrespected by Oakland. I think that he felt that they were doing more for the A's than for him. But he has to understand, the A's are around for 82 games a year. He's only around for 8 games regular season a year.
Good point.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't really read too much about this portion. Is he going to own the stadium?
No, he's not going to own the stadium, but he's going to own, he's going to have the chance to make a lot more money. And the reason for that is they're going to give him some kind of a sweetheart deal on the lease. And also, I think, again, it gets him more in good with the owners because they want to have Las Vegas as part of the Super Bowl rotation. And I know everybody says, "Oh, the betting and the money, the casinos."
It's anywhere, anytime.
Everybody's betting now. Everybody's doing online betting. Yeah, why not jump in there and get involved with the whole thing?
But even Vegas is doing the gambling on teams that aren't playing in Vegas, so that's
right.
what I think is irrelevant. But
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how much those tickets are going to be because the average person living in Vegas may not be able to afford.
Well, it's a transplant city, as you know. 95% of the people who live in Vegas are probably not even from, maybe not 95%, but I bet 90% are probably not from Vegas. And a lot of people who go to these games will not be going to more than 2 or 3 a game. But the Raiders, we didn't talk about this with Larry, but I think it bears some discussion. And you brought it up. The Raiders are an international brand.
Yeah.
They are followed by more people probably than any other team. When I traveled with the Raiders back in the 1990s and 1970s, during their 2 different incarnations, when on either side of their time in LA, we would go to cities in back east or anywhere in the Midwest or in the South, and you get to the hotel and there were hundreds of fans waiting there, waving banners, and we get to the stadium and there'd be whole sections. You go to a game in Arizona when the Raiders played the Cardinals, half the crowd is rooting for the Raiders, I guarantee it.
Wow.
You go when they played a team in San Diego, when they were in San Diego and the Chargers were there, last year, more than half the crowd was rooting for the Raiders because all the LA Raider fans came down, and there are a lot of Charger fans or San Diego folks there.
So besides the mystique of it, of sort of a pirate
right,
type, with the emblem, and then you had certain nasty players.
It's the history. It's the history. You think about it. It's not that far removed. The 1970s, the Raiders weren't as successful as the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Dallas Cowboys, but they were in the playoffs almost every year, and they had so many interesting characters, and they played up to that. John Madden was a character. Kenny Stabler was a character. Ted Hendricks, Otis Sistrunk, Phil Villapiano, Jack Tatum, Willie
Davidson.
Ben Davidson. Yeah, I mean, Gene Upshaw, Art Shell, Jim Otto. I mean, these are legendary. George Blandon. They have about 15, maybe 20 guys in the Hall of Fame, and I think about 2/3 of them played in that era of the 1970s.
Well, so then you get guys a little bit later like John Matuszak.
John Matuszak played briefly in L.A., but he was in Oakland for most of his, 7 or 8 year career. Jim Plunkett played with both cities. Marcus Allen played only in L.A., but he was, certainly a Hall of Famer. So there is that tradition, and they've won 3 Super Bowls, and they've been to 5. That's more than most teams. They haven't been to a Super Bowl since 2002, and that was an embarrassment. It's interesting. That was the last time, from 2002 until last year, they did not go to the playoffs. Between 2002 and 2016, they didn't go to the playoffs once, and they had only 2 seasons where they finished 500. The rest of the time, they were below 500. And yet they still drew an average of about 50,000 fans a game. So it's really a shame that they're doing this right on the verge of being a team. Last year, if Derek Carr doesn't break his leg, there's no question that they had a great shot at going at least to the conference finals. Yeah. They were that good. I mean, they won 6 games in the final minutes of play. They were 12-4. They didn't have a great defense, but man, they could put points on the board in a hurry because Carr has got a great arm and he's got terrific receivers and an offensive line that's one of the best in football. So I think the Raiders will be good for a number of years. I just think, unfortunately, if you're an Oakland Raider fan, you'll watch them from afar, and you'll think, what might have been.
And is Derek Carr all healed now?
Well, the good thing about a broken leg, as opposed to a torn ligament, is it usually, not always, but usually, unless it's a compound fracture, which is pretty damn serious, it usually heals. With a younger athlete, it usually heals pretty quickly. A torn ligament, a torn Achilles, torn meniscus, that's a different story. That's a little tougher. But quarterbacks, have a tendency to be tough dudes anyway, and they don't take quite the beating that running backs or offensive linemen or linebackers do. They get hit, but they don't get hit as much as, if you're blocking or you're tackling or you're driving in on somebody or you're carrying the ball as a running back, you're getting hit a lot more than a quarterback. That's why some of the best quarterbacks are in their mid to late 30s. Really, you think about it. Rich Gannon had some of his best years with the Raiders when he was 36, 37, 38 years of age.
Well, part of it, too, is that the league has gotten very careful about hitting quarterbacks.
That's true, and it's also a cerebral position, and I think as you get older, you're calmer and you're smarter, and you're still a good athlete. So, I mean, look at Steve Young. He was putting up great numbers at the age of 37, 38.
And
Brett Favre, another one.
And I got to say, I still think it comes down to money. Because if you're the league, you don't want your Tom Brady's to get hurt, and then a second string or third string quarterback comes in. The whole league suffers. The television rating. I mean, everything.
No question. That reminds me of Tom Brady. If he hadn't been held out for those first 4 games because of Deflategate, he would have had 4 more games of wear and tear. I don't think he would have been as effective in the postseason. I really don't.
So he is brilliant for doing Deflategate.
Yeah.
And he probably snuck him an extra 20 and said, hey, keep me out for the first 4 games.
I'm telling you, when I heard that news, I said to myself, that's the best thing that could ever happen to the Patriots. And they won 3 of the first 4 anyway.
Yeah.
He was so ticked off because he'd been held out. I think he went out there with a passion and with a determination to really stick it to the league and win the whole thing.
And here's the interesting thing. He'll still be in the Hall of Fame. Even, it's not like a steroids type of thing.
No. I mean, I think the league has it in for the Patriots because of Belichick, and there's a lot of reasons.
Spygate.
There's some and when there's smoke, there's usually a little fire.
All right, so we're going to go to our last trivia question. Now, so far, we're 0 for 2.
Oh,
so now let's ask a hard question.
Okay. The last 2 weren't hard enough.
No, they weren't. Okay.
All right.
What country was the only soccer team in the 1994 World Cup in which all 11 players' last names ended with the letters OV?
Oh, okay.
All right. That's our trivia question. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Right on.
I think I'm going to be shut out today. I still haven't gotten, I didn't mention this to you. This is driving me absolutely nuts.
What?
To get my job at KCBS, to have it officially given to me, I have to pass a background check. CBS Radio uses a company that is not in-house called Hire Right, and they do the background check. And they ask, simple questions like your last job or where did you go to school? So I filled out all the information.
Okay.
They got it. They had to confirm where I'd gone to school. So they did that.
Okay.
It took them a while because it's 43 years since I got my degree.
Yeah.
Then I find out I wanted to go in yesterday or today to get oriented at the station, fill out all the paperwork I'm going to have to. And they got my boss says I can't do that until I get my. And we're still waiting. He's hired 15 other people for traffic, and I have to get the background check finalized before it's official. And I said, what's the hang up? And he goes, well, this company's taking forever. So I called them up. I'm talking to people in Jamaica who don't even speak English practically. And I finally get somebody who can explain to me that, yeah, we got the information at the University of Denver that you graduated there, but we don't have the years. And I said, well, I can tell you the years. There were 1970 through 74. Well, we need to have that verified, and it needs to be on a certain website. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. So I went and called the University of Denver's registrar's office, finally got the guy, and I told him what was going on. And he called them back and told them, he went through his records and found out. So then I got verification today that, we've finished the background check, but I still haven't gotten word from my guy that he's got verification. So I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, isn't that absurd? These companies today, you're lucky you work for yourself. You know.
Yeah, you know what? And it's funny because there's all these articles I read about FINRA, which is the old NASD, and the kind of crap that they put these guys through nowadays. Even though I worked really hard for that license, I'm glad I don't have it anymore.
It's ridiculous.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Finish this bad boy off.
All right.
And then April's schedule is going to be a little funky because of
we'll
travel
figure it
and
out.
stuff.
Yeah, I got
and
it.
also with you too.
Yeah. I'll be able. We can do late afternoons, middays, whenever it's convenient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. All right, so now Bruce was 0 for 2, and we're hoping he's going to get this one.
I don't think so. I think I'm going to take the hat trick here. the negative hat trick.
The negative hat trick.
Yeah.
Okay. What country was the only soccer team in the 1994 World Cup in which all 11 players' last names ended with the letters OV?
Well, it's got to be an Eastern European country.
Okay, good.
Russia?
No, I mean that's
Poland?
No.
No. Czechoslovakia.
No, but you only have 137 more countries to go.
But it is an Eastern European country.
Yes, it is.
Hungary.
No, but you're getting close. You're right.
Getting close. I'm in the old Iron Curtain group there. Romania.
No, but you're still close.
Oh.
The Battle of the Bulgaria.
Oh, Bulgaria. Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one. Bulgaria was in the. They were. That's right. Yeah.
Can you imagine all 11 players' last name ends in OV?
OV, wow. Yeah, that's an interesting. It's kind of an obscure country. You don't hear a lot about Bulgaria, do you?
No, but even more obscure is its neighbor Macedonia.
That's a small country. I think it's only maybe a couple million people.
Probably, yeah. My sister did Eastern European Women's Chorus, and
went to Macedonia.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a beautiful country. I think it's on the Mediterranean, isn't it?
I think so.
Or close to it.
It's not that good,
Yeah.
but apparently, there's Bulgaria is like the big country in Macedonia, and there's a difference in the music.
Interesting.
Now, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right.
Maybe you wouldn't, but my sister could. And so when she went there, they were like they cried in Macedonia because they understood. Oh my gosh, this lady really knows the difference between the music.
Kind of like the difference between our country western and rock or something.
Yeah, just like if you say that you're from San Francisco, they go, "Oh, you're from Oakland." No, I'm from San Francisco.
Right.
So here's our thoughts for the day. If you know how to cheat, start now. That's what Baltimore manager Earl Weaver said to pitcher Ross Grimsley on the mound.
Oh, yeah, Ross Grimsley. Pitched with the Reds also. Left-hander, pretty good one.
There you go. And the Yankees are only interested in one thing, and I have no idea what that is. Yankee outfielder Luis Polonius.
Oh, my gosh. He was a character. Played with the A's, too.
I remember that.
He got caught with an underage gal in his hotel room.
That's not good.
No.
But this is good. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing
where I came up with that story.
Topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
That's a true story. He got suspended. He was like, she was probably 17. He was probably 23. I mean.